If you're anything like me, you have thousands of photos sitting on your phone and zero time to turn them into anything meaningful. I'm going to show you how I turn an entire year of family photos into a beautiful photo book in just 30 minutes a month, using a simple system, a Canva template, and a few clever tricks that make it doable even in the busiest seasons. We're all sitting at a breakfast table one morning, and my son asks about our trip to Singapore. Mama, remember the cable car when we rode it and I could see the entire city? I nod. Yes, I remember that. We were so high up, weren't we? Can we see the picture? I open the Photos app on my phone and start scrolling. I'm not sure which year or month that was. Let's get the book, he says. He's already climbing down from his chair, walking towards the living room shelf where we keep the family yearbooks. I follow him, and my daughter toddles behind us. He's pointing at the yearbooks, each lined up neatly year by year, and I lift down the yearbook for 2021, because by then I've worked out that that's the year we went on the cable car ride in Singapore. It was sometime after COVID. It's heavy, beautifully bound with a linen cover, and we settle back at the table. I flip through the pages, not letting the kids touch it because I'm terrified they'll damage it. My daughter climbs into my lap. My son is glowing. He's pointing at the photos, asking me to tell him stories. We flip through the yearbook and we're reminiscing at how different they looked just a year ago, or two maybe. Each week's layout is on 2 pages and the photos are arranged perfectly. And next to each one is a beautifully designed journal card. And finally, we find the cable car photo with a caption that I wrote about the kids' wonder that day. And the kids lap up every word I'm saying, and they have so much fun looking and pointing at the pictures. This is why I do this exact moment. But then my son looks up at me and says, "Where's the next yearbook?" And my stomach drops. I haven't made one. It's 2023, my daughter is over 2 years old, and I have nothing to show for the last 2 years. There's no yearbook on the shelf after 2021, no spreads, nothing. For 5 years, I never missed making a yearbook, not once. But now I have almost 20,000 photos sitting on my phone, and I have 0 pages to show for it. This was not supposed to happen. When my son was born, I had discovered this app called Project Life, and for the first time in years, I finally had a creative outlet that was mine, something that I could do at 2 a.m. while I was nursing, scrolling through the hundreds of photos that I'd taken that day. I would choose the best ones, his first smile, his first steps, that terrible day when breastfeeding felt impossible, and I'd create these beautiful 2-page spreads every single week. That was 104 pages a year. It wasn't simple. I would use 4 different apps, Project Life for the layout, another app for editing, Affinity Photo to add text, another one for buying digital journaling cards, and I'd spend an hour every Sunday evening, sometimes more, putting the week's spread together. But it was totally worth it for these moments, because when the books arrived each year, my son would curl up in my lap and we'd turn the pages together and he'd ask me to tell him the stories again. Those books were proof that these moments mattered, that he mattered, and that I thought I was doing something right. I had captured everything that I never had from my own childhood. When I think back to being young, I remember almost nothing, just fragments. I promised myself that my children would never have that they'd have every moment documented, every story preserved, and therefore I did it religiously. I made these yearbooks for 5 years straight. But then my daughter was born, and suddenly I was juggling 2 kids and still signing up for my Montessori diploma, posting on Instagram every day, launching my coaching business. Yes, my son was in nursery for a few hours a day, but my daughter was at home, needing to be held, played with, observed, and there was still only 24 hours in a day, but I needed more like 30. I'd open Project Life some evenings, I'd look at the hundreds of photos from that week, and I'd think about the 4 apps that I needed to open and that hour that I didn't have to do it, and then I'd just close it. 1 week became 2 missed weeks became a month, 1 missed month became 6 months, and now I'm sitting here at this breakfast table holding a perfect book from 2 years ago, and my son is asking me where the next book is. And I don't have an answer. I can feel this weight on my chest because I feel like I've lost all of these small moments. I feel like I've lost the last 2 years. The forgettable cuddles on the couch, the impromptu coffee dates after school, the exact things that I promised that I would never let slip away. My daughter tugs on my sleeve asking to see more pictures. And that's when I realized that memory keeping isn't supposed to be another thing that's drowning me. It's supposed to be the life raft. I've been doing this all wrong. I've been treating memory keeping like something that I need to do elaborately and perfectly, or it won't be good enough. Like I have to use 4 apps and spend hours making spreads with perfectly color coordinated schemes, or else I'm failing. But that's not true. The value isn't in the hours I spend or the apps I use or how elaborate my spreads are. It's in having something to hold, something my kids can flip through, something that says, you were here, these moments mattered. Right there, in that moment, I decided I'm going to simplify everything. What if instead of weekly spreads, that's 104 pages a year, I did monthly spreads? What if instead of 4 apps, I used just one? What if instead of beautiful, colorful spreads, I made slim, simple, black and white, minimalist ones? What if I gave myself the permission to catch up months later instead of drowning in guilt? A few weeks later, I discovered that Canva can do all of this in one place. I can create layouts, I can upload photos, I can add text, I can edit, everything. So I built a template that removes every single design decision. The fonts are chosen, the colors are set, just black and white. All I have to do is drop in 10 to 20 photos from the month and write a quick caption for some of them. And I time myself the first time I do it. It takes me 30 minutes to capture an entire month of memories. Just half an hour. That's nothing. I can totally manage that. And the best part is that it doesn't feel like a burden anymore. I can sit down once a month and do it. And if I miss a month, I can catch up 2 months later or 6 months later. Or, like I'm about to show you today, 3 years later. Because I still haven't made that 2022 book, but I'm going to right now, using this exact system. I made that template free because I know I'm not the only mother drowning in 20,000 photos and really good intentions. Your memories don't need 4 apps and an entire hour of your time. They just need you, 30 minutes, and a system that works for real mom life. So now I'm walking you through the live creation of my yearbook for 2022. We're going to do it together. And if you like, you can select a year and do this with me. We're going to be taking it month by month. And in this video, I'm going to show you my process for February 2022. And I'm going to put a timer on the screen so you can see that it really only takes about 30 minutes to complete an entire month. Okay, so the first step is to organize and select our photos. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is opening up the Photos app on my phone and searching for the month that I'm working on. That is February 2022. Search. This shows you just how many photos I have on my camera roll from just 1 month. I'm scrolling to the bottom because that's usually where the photos from the start of the month are. There's a lot of photos there. Okay, so then I'm going to start selecting the photos that I want to include and start saving them into a new album, which I've already created. It's an album called Yearbook 2022. Okay, so add to album, Yearbook 2022. Now I'm back in the Photos app and I'm going through the photos that I want to include and saving the ones I want into the album that I created. So let's see. Sometimes I'm able to tell just from the icons, the thumbnails, which photos I want to include, and sometimes I actually open them up to decide. My goal is to select around 24 photos for the month because a 2-page spread has 12 photos on it. So I try to do it in multiples of 12 so that I always have a month starting on the left-hand side of the spread. But you know, some months might have 36 photos or maybe only 12 photos because that month was particularly busy if we were traveling or if it was someone's birthday. Let's see. Or some months might be particularly quiet where I don't have any photos. So those months I might only have one 2-page spread with 12 photos. So you can see me just going through the process and selecting the photos, deciding which ones I want to include. Let's just include that. 24 is my target number, but I don't actually count the photos that I'm including as I'm doing it, because I can always decide that later while I'm actually putting the spread together. By now, I've done this for so long that I'm able to tell pretty quickly which photos I want to include and which ones I don't. But if you're doing this for the first time, it might take you a little bit longer. I try to select a mixture of photos that are really, really cute, photos of like everyday moments, and photos that have stories to tell. And then those are the ones that I'm going to write a caption about. Just ballparking these. And sometimes I have to open it up and I have to go through the series to figure out which photo I want to include. So I'm just doing that. Let's see. It's one of my son reading, and he's always reading. So this is definitely one I want to document. This is them going into my cupboards. It's nice to look back on like the day-to-day mundane moments, like which books they were reading, which toys they were playing, who they were having play dates with, because even looking back at it just a year later, you'll realize how much has changed. Because even when things like pictures like these seem like nothing special, when you look back at them later, you'll be so grateful that you captured these little mundane moments of the day. Okay, I think I should have enough, but I'm just gonna go back a little bit and see if there's anything I missed. That's a nice one. You can see I skip a lot of pictures for the month. I'm definitely not including everything that I took. If I tried to include everything, we'd be here all day. Okay, we're done. That's the hardest part done. Selecting the photos. Now the next step is to edit the photos. Now this step is completely optional. If you don't feel like you want to edit or you need to edit your photos, then just skip to the next section, which is where we're going to be using the Canva template and loading the photos in. I personally always choose to edit my photos, and I have a few quick, simple steps that I follow. And in my opinion, these make a huge difference. They make the photos look crisper, cleaner, and they draw more attention to the subject. And that's how they look more finished and ready for print. So here's how I do it. So the first thing I do is I select all of the photos that I put into my yearbook folder for the month that I'm working on, which is February. You just have to kind of remember where you started. Those were for January. And then I'm going to add them to the Lightroom app on my phone. Now I have the paid version of Lightroom, but I'm pretty sure most of these features are available in the free version too. I'm going to try to get you a promo code for Lightroom. If I do, it's going to be in the description below. If not, you can just go on to Adobe and download Lightroom, or the App Store and download it onto your phone. Just waiting for this to load. Okay, you know what? We'll do it this way instead. So I'm going to go back to my Photos app, and I'm just going to do each one individually. So I'm going to open it in Lightroom to make sure I don't miss anything. So the first thing I do, I select the photo that I want to edit, and then I usually select light first. And then I will always increase the exposure slightly. I've done some edits on this photo before, but I'm just going to show you the process again. I also increase the contrast a little bit, and then I scroll down and I reduce highlights, and I also reduce shadows a little bit. You can see the changes immediately, so I just eyeball how much I want to increase or reduce. Then the next thing I do is I add a vignette. You see that? That adds a shadow around the edges of the photo. So I just do a very slight vignette. So it looks natural. And then I go to effects and I will dehaze. Now this just, I don't know how this works, but it just adds more depth and like richer color to the photo. So I always do this. I love how it turns out. And that's it. That's all the editing I do. And then I will export it and save a copy to my device. So this will go into my camera roll. And then I'm going to repeat that process for all of the pictures in here, one at a time. I'm just going to do that. Okay. And sometimes if there's too much background that's not necessary, I will crop that out too. Just do it from here so I don't miss anything. If it's in landscape and I need it to be portrait, I don't really bother doing anything about that now because I can always adjust it in Canva. So you can see, like, I don't give this much thought. I've been doing it for so long that I just kind of eyeball it. There's no formula, there are no fixed numbers. Just so you see, this dehaze effect works particularly well on scenery. Look at that. Look at how it just amplifies the colors of the sky, the sunset. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to stop talking and just zoom through these because I'm on a timer. Some of these photos already have edits on them because sometimes I edit them before I post them or before I send them to my family. So I'm just re-editing again. Now, another thing I do sometimes is I will adjust the color because this one I feel is too pink, so I'm going to reduce some of that magenta just to balance it out. I've already edited this and I'm happy with the edits, so I can just save it. Some of these photos were not there in our initial selection because I realized I had selected too few photos, so I had to go back and select a few more because I wouldn't have had enough for 24 photos. Okay, that's done. Now I'm just going to find the photos that we edited, which are now in my camera roll, and I am going to airdrop them to my laptop because the rest of the process is going to be done on my laptop. You can choose to continue working on your phone, but I just prefer having a bigger screen. Okay. Okay, so the next step in the process is to start creating the layout in Canva. Luckily for you, I have already done all of the hard work and I've created a really simple template. So all you have to do is add in photos and some captions and you're done. The link to download the free Canva yearbook template is in the description below. Click it to sign up and get yours. You can hit pause on this video while you do that. Once you've got the template, open it in Canva and I'm going to show you how to use it. Okay, so now I have Canva open on my screen and we're working on February. This is what it's going to look like at the end when we're done. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import in the photos. Actually, let me just select them from Canva. So what I'll do is I've opened up the template. So you need to open up your yearbook template that you downloaded, click uploads, upload files, and then you need to select the images wherever you saved them. Let's see these as a list. This is what I need. I think I had about 27 images, and that's okay because I can still filter them as I'm working on them. I'm going to click open and all of these images are going to appear in my uploads, and that makes it easier for me to then just drag and drop into my layout. The thing with this is that they're not arranged chronologically, so as I'm pulling them in, I will go through. Oh, it looks like I have some duplicates, so I just have to be careful. I just have to go through them and see how I want to group them. If we've had any travel or any big events, then I try to group those together. But in this month, it doesn't look like I've had that, so I'm just going to start dragging and dropping. So it's really easy. You see these little frames here. These are frames, and these are basically placeholders for your pictures. So all I will do is I will start dropping in the pictures into the frames. There are squarish frames and then there are portrait frames. So generally my landscape photos would go into a square frame so I don't lose most of it. And then you can double click the photo and adjust where you want it cropped or how you want it to look. So I'm just going to go through these in sequence. The ones that I know I have something to say about as well are the ones I'll put in these smaller ones because those have captions. And there are some photos that you don't really have much to say about, so they can just live in the yearbook as photos. Here. switch those this way. You can also double click to crop and resize the image. Okay, this is a good one. Like that. And then, oh, I did that already. Which ones haven't I done? This one. Done that. Actually, let's switch these around. So I'm gonna put this here, this one here, and then I'm gonna put the sunset one in here, and then this one in here. So you can see that even after the selection process, I have further eliminated a few pictures that I selected. That's entirely up to you. So there, we've done it. We have uploaded all of our pictures into the Canva template. The next step is to write captions. Now, I haven't included in the template captions for all of the photos because generally we don't have stories to tell for every single one of them. And the point of the template was to simplify memory keeping. Every other photo has a caption, and to make it even easier, I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT to write our captions in a specific format. Okay, so if you open up a new chat on ChatGPT, I want you to type in this prompt. It says, oops, I clicked send too soon. The prompt says, I'm creating a memory photo book and need help writing some captions. The format is a 1 to 3 word title and a 1-line supporting caption. And then I'm going to add in there, the tone should be warm, natural, and conversational, like something I would say at the dinner table. This is just so it doesn't come out as scripted. Okay, and then I'm going to just put this on half my screen, and then I'm going to open up Canva and put that on the other half of my screen. Let's see if that works. Yes, it does. Okay, and then I'm going to start with the first photo that I need a caption for, which is this one. So I'm going to say, write me one about my daughter Dana on a play date with a friend Myra. They've only just met, but they hit it off instantly. So there you have it. ChatGPT gives you the caption in your exact format that you need it. Now, sometimes these sound scripted and sometimes I do edit them, but if I'm happy with it, then I just let it be. Dana and Myra clicked right away, chatting and playing like they've known each other for ages. That is fine. And you see that the formatting and everything has already been done. And once we've put in this prompt once, we don't need to do it again. So I'm just going to go through the same process. And I'm just going to say, write me one about Brianne. Sometimes I'll adjust it just to make sure they're on the right line. Now I'm just going to go through this process for all of them. Okay, and just like that, we're done. We have officially created 4 pages that capture the entire month of February 2022 for me. Okay, now the template says 2025, but you can easily change it to the year you're working on, which is 2022 for me. Just make sure you remember to change it for every month. So now I'm going to go off screen and I'm going to do the same process for all of the other months, and then I will show you how we will come together and bring all of these spreads and create a photo book. First, actually, let me show you how I export these. So you can see that I've already named these. Now what I like to do is to make it easier with the page numbering. I've already said Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4. So there are 4 pages for each spread. But I like to then also add in right at the front a page number of the whole book. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because this page number is just internal to Canva. When you export it, the page numbers don't come up, and then they all get sorted alphabetically, which is highly annoying. So I just go down and I add these in. Now these are for March, which I will do later, but you get the drift. If you add in these numbers, it makes it much easier to export. So now what we're going to do is we're going to export the pages I've created so far by clicking Share, Download. Now for the website that I use to print my books, they need the photos in JPEGs. And then I increase the size to 3000 just so I have really good resolution, and I will max out the quality. I'm not going to do all of the pages. I'm just going to unselect this and select the pages that I have filled in, which in my case are for January and February. And then I will click download. Okay, then you get to select where you want to save it. I'm going to put mine directly on the drive. I have a place where I save these, so let me do that right now, if I can find it. I've got Project Life. So you can see I have yearbooks for all of the other years, but I don't have anything for 2022. So I'm going to create a new folder. Hang on, how did I name it? Yeah, I'll put the year first. So 2022 yearbook, create. And then I will just save them in here. And then you can see that I have a folder. It saved them as a zip, so I'm just going to unzip these, and then let me open a new window, because it's very annoying if you have a few zip files in there, so I'm going to do this right now. Memory keeping, Project Life, then I've got, to see it as a list, 2022 yearbook. And I'm just going to drag these into the main folder, and then I can get rid of these. And there we go. Now these spreads are not only numbered in the right order, but they're all organized neatly, so you can see everything here and you can access them anytime, and they're saved. So if Canva does break down or anything like that, or it just happens to lose all of your work, you have them saved and all is not lost. So I'll see you back when I'm creating the photo book, and then I will show you how it's going to look when it finally arrives in your hands. Okay, so what I've decided to do is to actually just create the photo book right now with the pages that we have, because you will get the drift. So what I'm doing is, this is my 2025 yearbook, which I'm working on, but 24 and 23 are complete. So I'm going to actually duplicate them because I want to make sure I have the exact same one, which is a premium large square photo book. How do I duplicate this? Let's see. Duplicate book. Yes. So the website is called milkbooks.com, and I love it because they have these beautiful linen covers. The pages lay completely flat, and the print quality is excellent. So I'm just going to go ahead and now you don't have to print in the same format as me. You can go and explore, but we've created our layouts in square, so make sure you select a square book. I'm going to do page divider mode, and then let me rename this to yearbook 2022. And then I always do really simple covers. It's just renaming, and then I'm going to make sure that I go in and, sorry, that was my kids in the background. Rename it to 2022, and also make sure the spine. So this, by duplicating the book, it just ensures that all of the font and everything are the same. Now I'm just going to go and remove all of the photos in there. That's from this year's spread, at least for the first couple of months. I think that should give us enough pages to work with. Okay, so I'm going to go to import more photos. Then I'm going to select the images from the cloud where we saved them. Where is it? I have way too much stuff on the cloud. I need to clean it up. Project Life 2022 yearbook. And then I'm just going to select the spreads that I created. Click open. And then it's going to upload those photos, and then it's really simple. So, okay, so this has already been done for me because I'm just duplicating this year's book. But what I do is I always select a layout with 2 images because we've already created the pages, right? And then I select square, and then I select this one at the top, which has the smallest, thinnest border. I don't like my pages to run across the entire page because they look funny when they are printed. Let me just make this a full screen so I can see it better. Okay, so the photos, where are the photos? Okay, there we go, I found it. They were hiding there. So I have selected unused only, but for some reason, all of these photos are still showing up. So I'm just going to go to the bottom, and hopefully that should give me my most recent ones. That's right, here we go. So I'll start with this one, which says January, and I'm literally just going to drop it in. This is the next one. And then once you've created this one spread, you can then click here to duplicate the same spread, and you can just use the same thing throughout your whole book. In my case, I have already created these, so I'm not going to do that. Just gonna drag in the photos, and there you have it. I have created the first 2 months in the yearbook, and if you just, now these are obviously my spreads from 2025, which I'm not going to show you, but now it's all ready. Once you've uploaded all of your 12 months in here, then you're ready to just send it for printing, and let me show you what that ends up looking like. Once you have clicked print and you wait a couple of weeks to receive your book, depending on where you are, because milk books are printed in Hong Kong, I believe. They will come to you a few weeks later, and trust me, it's totally worth it. Look at this. This is our yearbook from 2023. There's a lot of background noise. I don't know if you can hear that. It's traffic. And look at that. Now in this year, I'm trying to hold it up so you can see the whole thing. There we go. In this year, I think the first month I had a different format. Then I started using this because I just really wanted to simplify it. And look how beautiful. And what I love is that it's more than just a photo book where you just load in like 100 pictures and then they populate it for you. This actually captures some of those memories. And so when we're looking back at the pictures, we can go back and read what that was about. This is an example of a month where I added in some extra spreads, like it was my son's sports day in his school. So I added in an extra page where I just put in pictures of his sports day. So sometimes I do that. Some months I have more pictures. I did the same in the month when we had my daughter's birthday because I had too many pictures and they just weren't fitting in the spread. So it's really customizable. You can use my template exactly as it is, or you can make it work for you. Memory keeping is a beautiful thing, and you are definitely going to treasure these books for years and years and years to come. And the beauty is you will always have the soft copies saved on your drive or your laptop or wherever you're working on it. So you can print copies and give them to your kids later if they would like it. But the important thing is that you not feel like it's a burden. It's something that you're doing to preserve your memories. It should feel like something fun and something happy and a creative outlet, not a burden. And that can only happen if you yourself are calm, you're grounded, you're in a happy place yourself. But how, you ask, how do you remain calm? Because I know that taking care of young kids is exhausting if you're juggling that, a full-time job, managing the house, and whatever else you have on your plate. It's very difficult for you to stay calm. That's exactly why I've created a video. Click on the link on how I find calm in my day. See you in the next one.